Oh man. The whole point is to share it on here.
Oh yeah, that's right. Embarrass the shit out of yourself.
Keep the conversation, as random as possible.
And you're doing a fine job on your end.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Stardom right here on JG's Lounge. I'm really excited about tonight. I've got touched base with my guest Eric here several months back, and we've been back and forth over the last few months, and finally made it happen, man. Eric, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course, man. I'm glad to be a first experience for you on this whole podcast thing. Hopefully you're not nervous or anything, because these go pretty smoothly.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Yeah, I'm excited to be here, man.
Good. That's how it should be, the whole episode. So, why don't you kind of give everybody a little bit of a background about yourself, man?
Well, my name is Eric Willis. I've been doing independent film since 2016. We just wrapped production at the end of October on my 39th project since 2016. My third feature film called Southern Fried Romance.
That's impressive. That's a lot of content in 8 years?
Yeah. I've been busting my hump for a while.
And has it all been local, like Kansas City area?
Oh yeah, definitely. All I've done like 5 music videos with a friend of mine, Dale Teig, and basically it's been mostly short films, and then, like I said, my third feature film.
That's exciting. Feature film just sounds awesome.
Yeah, you say that now. Yeah, it takes a lot of time, a lot of dedication, a lot of flexibility, because things pop up during the production that you don't plan on. Right. So you have to be able to adapt.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is this something that you wanted to do since you were a kid, or is this something you kind of fell into?
Well, my background is in theater. I've got an undergraduate degree in theater, and I didn't even know independent film existed until 2015. And I was thumbing through Facebook, and I saw an ad for Casting Calls KC for, roles. And I was like, my son's 16 years old. I got a lot of free time on my hands. Maybe I'll get back into that. And I did. I auditioned for a few roles, got, a few roles, a couple of films that never saw the light of day. And I had a short story that I'd written back in college, and I still had a copy of it. So I was like, I think I could make that into a short film. And I didn't know anything about how to write, how to format, nothing. And so I literally had a copy of the script in this hand, and I was just like going back and forth, and I pieced it together. And my first film was just me, the actor, and my cinematographer. And luckily, the entire film was inner monologue. So luckily, my actor that I cast worked at a recording studio. So he recorded all his dialogue, and we just went and shot. Basically, it's him doing a lot of walking. And it was simple, and it worked. And for a first film, it didn't turn out too bad.
So being a first film, did you already kind of do a little bit of research on some of the equipment that you were going to need, or did you just kind of wing it?
I completely winged it. Filmmaking has been a blessing for me, because in the past, I would have saw something like this, and I would have second guessed myself and maybe talked myself out of it. Mm-hmm. Once I got into this, I was like balls out. I'm just going. I didn't even think twice about it. Right. And we shot most of that first film up in St. Joe, which I'm originally from St. Joe. So I knew the locations I wanted and how to film it. And it took 6 hours total to shoot the film.
Wow. I do want to throw this in there. If everybody that's watching, there's several of you watching, feel free to comment, interact in the show. You got questions, throw them out there. So the equipment that you used, what'd you use for a first film?
God, I think he had a Canon, just a little small Canon camera. I think I owned a camera for a couple of years, and then I sold it to a friend of mine. My specialty is writing, and like directing and producing. What I really love to do is to write and to produce. Um,
Okay.
I've done all those 39 projects. I've still got like 10 short films and like 4 feature scripts that I've written that I haven't shot yet.
I love that. And I have to say, like, so for me, like with podcasting, I got to the point where I now have like 19 shows. I mean, I host like 5 of them, but I produce the rest of them and help distribute. But
Mhm.
I've really wanted to start getting into the editing of what I do. So I started doing these short skits called Burn After Playing, and it's crazy. I'll have people from all over the US in a messenger group chat, and I'll say, "Hey, here's what the idea is. You guys improv your scenes, and then I get to edit it, make it into these short films."
Yeah.
And it's been a huge challenge, but it's also helped me kind of grow in this. So
Mhm.
that's why I kind of asked you, like, where did you start at? Because I imagine as you progress to where you are now, I mean, you probably got to have a whole camera crew on half your stuff.
Oh yeah, I had to learn like my 3rd film. I had to learn how to edit myself. And my neighbor downstairs and YouTube were my teachers. I didn't know anything about anything. So
Right.
if I wanted to do something, I found the instructional video on YouTube and I figured out how to do it.
Right.
And so, like I said, it's just over the years I've met people and developed relationships, and they are the ones that have helped me get to where I'm at.
Right. Right. You mentioned Facebook. I mean, and some of these Facebook groups, is that how do you kind of reach out for camera crew and stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that? You just get a
yeah.
hold of people online?
Like IFCKC and actors and filmmakers in Kansas City are the 2 main Facebook pages I use. And those
Mhm.
are a couple of the biggest in town where you can advertise saying, "Hey, got a project going. I need crew, cast." You post for roles,
Mhm.
and they can submit their experience, and then you go from there.
Right. Um, when it comes to kind of the advertising side of things, I mean, would you say that that's been your biggest influence is social media, or do you submit some of your films to like film festivals and
Oh yes,
uh, other stuff like that?
yeah. I each project I do a minimum of 5 festivals.
Wow.
Yeah, at bare minimum, at least 5 festivals, and
Mm.
it all depends. There's Film Freeway is the main hub for film festivals right now,
Right.
and you can select what kind of festival you want, whether it's specialty, how much you want to pay, when the festival occurs, all that kind of stuff. And
Mm.
it's really helped, because there's monthly festivals, which some of them are easier to get into than some of the bigger festivals, and it gets your work out there. And so that's the main conduit I use. Sorry.
Thanks, Kyle. This is the guy who introduced me.
Yeah. And I've got like I say, I've got 2 short films in the circuit right now,
Mm.
and I think I've got at least 15 festivals that I'm waiting on notifications on, and those are just
What
for.
what is the hardest part as far as like the process of getting a film published?
Oh God. um, Honestly, I think it's the in process, like when we get into production. It's
Right.
the adaptation that I talked about earlier, because so many things can come up that can ruin. I mean, you know, like when you try to shoot a film, you always have outdoor shots.
Yeah.
In Kansas City, there's literally like 2 months out of the year that you can shoot outdoors comfortably,
Mhm.
whether it's too hot, too cold, or whether it's raining, and you have to adjust to that. Like, we had when I did Wholesome Grove,
Right.
we had a location picked out. I'd worked it out with the lady beforehand. When we got there early, she flipped out. And she was like, "You're not supposed to be here for 3 hours." And we were just like, "Okay, what are we gonna do?" I don't want to sit around for 3 hours not shooting.
Right.
And my cinematographer was like, "Well, why don't you call your friend out in Belton? We can go shoot there." I was like, "Huh? Okay." So I texted her. I said, "We're coming out." She's like, "Okay." So yeah, and to me, that's the hardest part of the process. I mean, you've got everything. I'm One of the things I really love to do, and I think I'm I don't normally blow my own horn, but I'm pretty good at, is site scouting, finding locations.
I like hearing about that because I feel like it's a process.
It's honestly, in Kansas City, it's a lot easier than people think. You just can't be afraid. You can just say, you just go out and if you find a location you want, you say, hey, you email them or call them, whatever. Say, this is my film. This is what we wanted to do. We'd like to shoot at your place. 90% of the time, they'll say yes. And see, I specialize in family drama, which is like Lifetime Hallmark kind of, hokey.
Yeah, Wholesome Grove definitely has that kind of Hallmark vibe. I watched that. That's good.
And so I like to go out to the country towns like Wellsville, like Baldwin. I've shot in Baldwin City a lot.
Oh,
and they are more receptive to shooting than maybe in Kansas City. You just say, hey, I've got this, and like when you go out, to find a site, you always say, you always provide a copy of the script so they can get an idea of what you're shooting.
I didn't even think about
If they
that.
like what you're shooting, they'll say, oh yeah, sure, no problem. And then you just go out there and shoot. And, for all the indie filmmakers out there, you're usually working with no budget. And, it's the country locations will say, yeah, we don't care. Yeah, sure.
Right. And when you talk about the budgeting, I mean, has that made it difficult with casting? Like, I know quite a few of the people that you've utilized are really just about getting their name out there, which is wonderful. Yeah. But I mean, have you had issues with people wanting to get paid and you just couldn't do it?
Rarely. I mean, the people know going in. After I did this for a few years, they know.
Yeah.
It's just like, when you post something on the IFCKC or actors and filmmakers, you let them know ahead of time. This is a no budget film. You're not going to get paid. We're going to provide food for you. That's number one rule for any filmmaking. You can't pay them, feed them. And, I've been incredibly blessed with some of the talent that I've worked with around here. And they understand. And it's an exchange. When the film's done, they say, well, can I get footage for my acting reel? I'm like, sure. Here's the link. Download it. It's yours. You did the work.
Right. That's how I feel with this stuff too. Like, whenever I'm done with the show, I always tell the people, I'm like, this is your content too. You want to make a clip out of it? Just by all means, this is your stuff.
I mean, we're all a community, and we're all doing it because we love it.
Right.
Because none of us are making any money.
No, for me, I got a day job. I'm a husband. I'm a father. And I don't go out to the clubs. I don't go out to the bar. Yeah. This is me going out and having a good time right here in my basement.
Hell, I'm a grandpa, so
I get it. It's fun though. Like, I think seeing the end result of the product that you produced, it's a good feeling.
Really this is literally the most fun I've ever had in my life, and I think that's why I put so much into it. Because if I wasn't enjoying doing it, I wouldn't do it. And that's what I like to convey to my cast and crew. I want the entire project. I want them to enjoy it. I want them to have a good time. I want them to be proud of the product they've created and say, hey, if somebody asked about me, I want them to say, yeah, we had a great time on the shoot. You'd have a lot of fun working with him.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about let's see, what's one of the toughest films that you had to shoot, like that had maybe a lot of, I don't know, scenes that had to be reshot or something like that. What was that?
Well, we just finished up Southern Fried Romance, and I actually had kidney stone removal surgery about a month into shooting. And that was one of the obstacles we had to overcome.
All right.
I was actually on set 15 hours after I got discharged, which my cast and crew kind of lambasted me for a little bit, but
just take a bunch of pain meds.
Oh yeah, I had some good drugs. And we had some location issues, we had some weather issues, we had we just had a lot of stuff come up that, like I said, we had to reschedule some locations, we had to reschedule some shoots. But we got it done. I mean, it was perseverance. I had, a few weeks after I had the surgery, my mom passed. So I had to deal with that. So
Yeah.
it was mentally and physically, this was the roughest film I've done, but
Uh-huh.
not because of anybody involved with the film.
Right.
It was just my health issues and
Yeah.
but
Life happens, man. I mean, it's
yeah,
nothing to really.
I'm pretty thick into the editing process and it's really good. I'm very proud of it. Yeah.
The editing. Oh my god. I when I first started doing this, editing wasn't my best. I like doing the live streams because people have the opportunity to be a part of the show and the commentary. But making clips and reels, that's kind of my way of kind of giving back to my guests is like, hey, you're tagged in all this stuff I'm putting out there. And then obviously crediting on IMDb. But the editing has always been something that I've improved on over the years, but it is not easy.
Oh no.
Yeah, I get it.
No, the thing, like when I do a feature film, I like to edit as I go. We shoot
Okay.
only on the weekends,
Mhm.
and then during the week, I'll try to edit like the footage we shot the past weekend. So once we wrap, I'm not starting from scratch, and
Right.
somebody will have to wait a year, or two
Mhm.
for the film to be done. I'm borderline OCD. I couldn't do that.
Right.
I know Kyle's out there. I've
Yeah.
heard him talk about projects that were 3 or 4 to 5 years in the making.
Yeah.
That would drive me insane. Um, uh, when we did my first feature film, Love, Misery, and the Goth Girl, I didn't edit.
Hmm.
The cinematographer edited it, and so I'd meet with him once a week, and we'd go over editing, and we'd edit it, and it took a year to edit.
Right.
And and that was like 6 months too long for me. Just
Because just how dragged out it was.
yeah, well, and no, I mean, and in all fairness, he owns his own business. I mean, he had other stuff to do, so we meet once a week, and that's when we can edit. But when I
Yeah.
edit my own stuff, I'm like, almost every day I'm in doing something. So
Hmm.
I had to develop patience.
That
But
was
yeah,
it.
I'm that borderline. Yeah, she knows. Yeah, I call it anal retentive, but it's kind of on the high side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I mean, when you're editing, I mean, you're looking for perfection. But I mean, if when you're talking about dragging out, that's my biggest fear with like working with somebody because I know, like, I have no problem doing it, but like when you just aren't synced up for timing and stuff like that, that can be a real bummer because like you get so hesitant.
Yeah, like I mean, um, Jan just came over last week and she did her ADR for a few scenes.
Mhm.
And we re-recorded the audio. Nothing that she did. We had a couple of our live mics that started to crap out towards the end of the shoot, and
Right.
so we had to re-record the audio. But she's
Gotcha.
great. She was awesome. I love her to
Mhm.
death. And it's just little stuff like that you have to. Um, it was kind of an adjustment for me as I started because like I'm on that high end. And then I had to learn to realize that there's stuff you just got to deal with. There's stuff you can't fix. I mean,
Right.
it's independent film. There's just like, there's stuff you got to deal with.
Right.
There's and like through the editing process, there's stuff in several films that I know is a mistake,
Right.
but as you might be watching it, you wouldn't realize it.
Right. I mean, it's part of the critiquing, too. I mean,
Yeah.
I know when I first started doing this, I bought a $35 mic set on Amazon. I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. And that was I mean, I probably had a dozen episodes out of scrap because there was too much popping noises and the feedback was
That's what
garbage.
happened. Exactly. The popping. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
or
mean,
like you forgot to hit, turn it on. I've done stupid stuff like that.
Jen, yeah, she knows. We actually had a few as we was doing the audio clips. I'm like, okay, the person that ran the boom mic didn't turn on didn't record. So that's why we had to do the ADR, because there's no backup. But
Right.
it's stuff you just gotta realize and say, hey, it's part of the process, and you just
Right.
go in and fix it.
Right. Let's get into some of the stuff you've done. How's that sound?
Okay.
What you
Oh,
got?
wow, you dug way back, didn't you? That was before I
I picked a
started.
few of them.
That was before I started doing my own films. Like in 2015, I started acting first.
Right.
I didn't have, like I said, and the funny story about that project was, I was restaurant owner, and we got an apron, and literally I went to my mom's apartment, and we got every condiment in her fridge, and I dirtied it all up. We shot one scene, and something happened where we had to delay my next scene for 2 weeks. So that apron kind of fermented in my closet for like 2 weeks.
You're making me hungry.
Oh no, it didn't smell. It did not smell well. It did not smell good by the time I got on set.
Right.
But it was. I literally met several people on that set that I still work with today.
That's I think huge. I think you kind of build relationships and kind of I guess as you're doing films now, you probably kind of have an idea of who you want for
Oh
certain
yeah.
characters and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah, that's it's kind of a catch-22 with that. I try to write. I mean, there are some scripts I've written that as soon as I write the script, I know who I want to play this part, because it's Kansas City. It's a small community. I'm like, okay, this is perfect for this person.
Right.
There's other stuff that I've written, like I have no idea who would ever play this. I just go with the flow, and then hopefully I can find somebody to play it.
Hmm.
But I met Jeremy Walter on that film, and he's been in 7 or 8 of my films, and
Right.
he's one of the best people I've ever worked with. He's incredibly talented. Yeah,
That's funny.
Jan, she was great. Yes.
um and I did notice quite a bit of what's it Daniel Fecht, but it goes
Yeah.
by Rick
Oh, I love
he goes
Daniel.
by Rick Daniels, right?
Yes,
Yes.
love Daniel. I actually met him. It was on that film, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a very enjoyable person to work with.
Right.
If you like, I did one film called My Second Self, and it was a short film, and he showed up just to be an extra.
Okay.
And the person I had cast that had a few lines didn't show up. Stood me up on the day of the shoot. So I went to Daniel. I said, "Hey, I got a couple lines. You want to do this?" He was like, "Sure." And it's so important to have people like that you can count on.
Yeah.
And I love working with him.
I had him on the other night. Great guy.
Yeah, he is.
Great guy. Loves to talk.
Mhm.
Very quirky and funny. Just
Oh yeah,
I totally could see how you could easily just be like, "Yep,
yeah. He
you're hanging
actually,
out."
in that short film he played, he was hitting on the 2 actresses in the film, and they were at least 40 years younger than him.
I actually can believe that. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what else we got here. It's a little dark, but can you see that?
Oh, I did sound on that for 1 weekend.
Yes. I
I was
saw. Oh,
barely
only for a
involved in that
weekend.
project. Yeah,
I just knew
but
you were like a sound engineer part of it or something like that.
well, I ran boom mic for 1 weekend when the person they had running it was like not available. But funny thing about that shoot was um the guy that wrote it is from Maryville. And we were in Maryville. I actually stayed at his parents' house one night, and my first year and a half of college, I went to school in Maryville, and we literally stayed like a block, like a half a block from one of the frat houses that I used to go to.
Uh-huh.
And and we were shooting some B-roll footage outside of a restaurant, A&G Steakhouse up there. And the owner came out. And he was like, "What you doing?" I said, "We were like, hey, we're shooting roll." And I said, "You don't remember me, do you?" He's like, "No." I said, "I worked for you like 30 years ago." I said, "You used to call me Black Pete." He was like, "Oh my God." Yeah, yeah. But
That's
yeah, I
funny.
mean, yeah, it was a short involvement in the project, but it was, it was good to get experience. I just,
What all have you done about like behind the scenes, like as far as the like camera crew and all that?
oh geez, like I said, for Dale's music videos, I shot all the footage for that. I've been script supervisor. I've been boom mic. I've been producer on one film called Killing with Kindness. Um,
Yeah.
pretty much did all of
Killing
them.
with Kindness, I watched last night. Absolutely
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah. It
Who-
was.
Whoever
Uh,
came up with that concept, if that was you, that was good.
no, it wasn't. It was actually an ex friend of mine. That it was his, and he wanted to produce it,
Yeah.
and the location at the end, with all the bullfrogs and the cicadas that were noisy as hell.
Yeah.
That's actually a good friend of mine's location out in Wellsville, Kansas.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm
yeah,
familiar with
her
Wellsville.
yeah, her husband is a retired electrician, and he actually set up a breaker box by their pond. So you have power, and we could do lights and everything, and like a lot of the chase scenes around that were at her place out in Wellsville.
Yeah, the serial killer, like whoever that character, he made it so like comically innocent,
Hmm.
and it was hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. That's actually that location in the kitchen is actually the same house where we shot film set Tourette's. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we got Just Try.
That's my buddy Dustin. Um, I worked with him, like I said, barely behind the scenes on that one.
Mm,
But I met Dustin during COVID.
okay.
We actually, because I didn't want COVID to interfere, we actually managed to get 2 short films shot during COVID that year. And Dustin came over and he friended me on Facebook,
Mm,
and we got to talking. And we did a film in the fall called the Strongest Branch, which is one of the
mm,
2 films I've done about suicide.
okay.
And um, he's awesome. He's one of the most talented people I've met in this business.
Okay.
And
I feel like especially when you get into like this style of film, it takes a lot to kind of
oh yeah, this kind of film I couldn't do.
it's a lot of work just to
Yeah,
get the actors and actresses to be a certain way and
yeah.
the
Well, and
dress.
he's a much better editor than I am, so he can do all the special effects and the After Effects and all the stuff that I can't do.
So I'm guessing this is a guy that you reach out to when you're struggling.
Yeah. If I can't find it on YouTube, I call Dustin.
Oh, YouTube is great. I
Oh my
mean, it is. Is that and that's where I post all my stuff. I mean, I posted on multiple, Facebook, YouTube. Like right now, we're streaming on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, and Facebook. If I already said that, sure.
God. Well, and for Southern Fried Romance, there was a little spot at the end that I wanted to do
I
something specific.
I will actually
I don't have
tag
it.
him in the final. I can put all that in the description, like the link to your YouTube page.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yes, we'll have that on here.
Yes, we will. But there's something for Southern Fried Romance. There's something I wanted to do at the end of the film. I have something specific. Usually, I mean, I have a friend in St. Louis that he's a graphic designer. Sometimes I've went through him,
Mhm.
and I email him. I said, "This is what I want to do. Can you find me a video that teaches me how to do it?" And
Mhm.
within like 30 seconds, he sent me the link, and it was one of those things where like the video turns to like a snapshot of a photo, and it's real cutesy, and he sent me the link, and I figured out how to do it.
Mhm. That's pretty cool. Yeah, see, that's how I am. Like, I'm not car literate at all, so that's how I learned all my any kind of card tricks I learned on YouTube.
Yeah, I will send this film coming up, Southern Fried Romance. It's incredibly cheesy, and it's supposed to be. Um, I wrote it about a year ago, and I wanted to do a pretty much by the book Hallmark type movie,
Hmm.
and I googled Hallmark scripts, and I found one, and I just kind of like, okay, what action takes place in each scene, and after a while, I was like, oh, I got this, and
Right.
then I wrote it, and we shot it within a year.
What would you say what is the difference between a short film and a feature film?
Um, I mean, by the book, it's the length. I mean, if you go through the festival circuit, most of them will say anything under 30 minutes is a short film. Anything
Mhm.
over 30 minutes is a feature film.
Okay. Does that kind of vary a little bit depending on?
Yeah, a little bit on the festival, but like for most of them, that's kind of the cutoff.
Okay. Sounds good. I feel like it wouldn't be that difficult to do a feature film then.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as far as lengthwise, obviously making a film is not easy. So,
Yeah, the longest short film I've done was 20 minutes.
okay.
The shortest one I did was 53 seconds.
You did
And
a 53-second film?
yes, I did. It's called More. And the
Okay.
concept, it was originally supposed to be like a PSA,
Mhm.
but like I don't know a damn thing about marketing. So we just made it into a short film. And literally from start to the end of the credits, it's 53 seconds. And it
That's
actually won a couple of awards. So
Are there actually festivals for stuff like that, super
yeah,
short?
there are festivals that are like a minute and under. There are festivals that are like 5 minutes and under, which I did a film called One Last Sunrise, and
Mhm.
it's 5 minutes and 1 second. And it's actually entered in a few festivals that are 5 minutes or less.
All right. I have ventured on to Film Freeway, so I am familiar with it.
Yeah.
I never really know where to submit, and I know there are some big festivals that are like 50 to $75 submissions,
Oh yeah.
and I can't really afford that, but
No,
still, I
me
mean,
neither.
I've sometimes I'll post in there just to see. I haven't got
Usually
anything
it's
yet, but we'll see.
35 or $40 per festival is where I kind of it's my cutoff, what I can afford and
Right.
what I think.
Mhm.
The bigger festivals, I mean, honestly, it's a waste of money because and even what I've found over the years is even like some of the smaller festivals that you think, okay, I can probably get into them, and some of them
Mm.
I have got into. They're getting between 5 to 700 submissions per festival.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I like for a couple of months I did some judging for some festivals in Atlanta, and ugh, I had to do script reading, I had to watch short films, I had to watch feature films, and I had to, this you should take this film, you should reject this film. It's a ton of work.
And that's something that we haven't really talked too much about yet is script writing. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to begin when it comes to script writing. Like, uh, how do you what's the setup for a
Well,
script?
the format I use Celtics, CELTX. I've been using it for years.
Mhm.
But I mean, it all depends. Like when I first started screenwriting, I'd pull up videos, say, "Oh, you have to do this. You have to do this." One video I'd watch say you have to outline everything. I'd watch another video. This guy'd be like, he's successful, and he's like, "I've never outlined anything in my life," and that's me. I've
Right.
never created an outline for anything I've ever written. Um, as far as my feature films, I always start at the end. I know
Okay.
how I want the film to end, and then I have to go back to the beginning and figure out, okay, how am I going to get there? I never know how many characters I'm going to have. Um, you know, like the plot just develops as I go. I've
Right.
added characters, I've removed characters, and like sometimes just writing, okay, this person needs a sidekick. We're going to write that person in. Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's literally like at bare minimum of 50 rewrites, per script. You always go in and you're like, okay, I can tweak that. I can tweak that. I don't like that. Let's move that. Let's delete that. Let's move that. That needs to go up here. Yeah.
Uh-huh. I'm guessing you're kind of visualizing how it's going to play as you're reading it.
Oh
Too.
yeah, that's especially like when I first started, and when I'd be writing scripts and I've heard it all in my head like hundreds of times.
Mhm.
And one of the biggest joys I've got was like when you the first time you hear somebody else say one of the lines you've written,
Right.
and you're like, oh wow, okay. Like when we were shooting Southern Fried Romance, there was a scene and a line that I had written that always made me laugh, and we shot it towards the end of the shoot.
Uh-huh.
And once Astor Leah said it, I was like, "Oh my god, I've been waiting 2 months to hear that line." I was just like, "Oh, that sounds so good."
Has there been characters that you casted for a spot and it wasn't what you wanted, but it still worked out?
Yeah. Um, Usually the way I work is when I cast somebody, as an actor, I will let you go with it.
Uh-huh.
But there are certain scenes that there are certain scenes where like, okay, I want this. I want to hear it this way. Please do it this way. And then we'll do a couple of takes, like, you can do it your way, but I want to hear it. But for the most part, I'll let them go and do their interpretation. Like when we were doing Southern Fried Romance, when we first started shooting, I had a concept in my head of the character of the lead actor, but I let him go. And I was like, once he said a few lines, I was like, okay. And I pulled him aside. I was like, okay, I had this envisioned, but hearing you do the lines this way, we're going to go with your concept. And so it sounded better to me the way he was doing it than the way I had it in my head.
Now,
And
does that kind of throw off the script though?
no,
Like,
no, not at all. It was just like the way he played it was a way I wouldn't have visualized, in my head, but it worked. If it wouldn't have worked, then I would have said, "Hey,
yeah.
it didn't really work." But, yeah,
Right.
but no, it was.
That's awesome. I do have a short clip of a scene from Crossroads that has you in it. It's about 50 seconds long. It's about 50 seconds long. So I wanted to play it if that's fine.
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, no shit, that's a problem. You guys are gonna pay for the repairs, right? Alright. Thanks.
Bad start to your day, mister. There's a motel down the road you can stay at till I figure out what's wrong with your car.
Well, it's not my car. It's a rental.
At least you don't have to pay for repairs.
Thank God for small favors.
They gonna send you a replacement?
No, I think I'll hang around till you get it fixed.
May be a while. Got anywhere to be?
Nope.
Man of few words. Gotta respect that. There's a diner down the road. I can call you and fix your car. Food's real good.
What happened to the beard, man?
That's my feature film beard. I always grow it out because I knew I was planning on shooting in the fall, so I started to grow it out. And then when the feature film's done, I trim it down. That was like 35 pounds ago. I'm happy to say. We shot that on the main strip on 4th Street up in Leavenworth. It was a little bitty old, a little mechanic shop that was closed the day. I just emailed them, say, "Hey, can we shoot there?" And they're like, "Sure." And a good story about that actor that was in that, he now lives in Japan. And he's teaching English over in Japan.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, he was great to work with.
Is that the only scene you are in the whole film, or
Yeah.
are you in other bits? Okay.
Yeah, and then Crossroads, yeah, that's the only film. I was like, why cast somebody? I'll just do it. It's just a few lines,
Yeah.
And I found that shirt down in a antique shop down in the West Bottoms.
That sounds accurate. That's good.
Yeah,
I'm sure when it comes to props and stuff like that, do you find stuff in extremely random areas?
Oh yeah, always. Yeah, it's just like if there's certain things, and as much as as much guff as it gets, Facebook's always a great resource if you need something specific. But
Right.
yeah, I just went shopping down in the West Bottoms, and I was like, and it had it my size, so yeah, it
That
was a
works.
nice little shop where it had like you had to go up in one of those elevators where you pull the gate down, and there was 3 different levels, and
Well, it's always exciting to hear this kind of stuff, and I really love that. Like even through some of your struggles, you still cut through with that Southern Fried Romance. It sucks that it kind of had to get dragged out because of those circumstances, but you seem pretty excited about it.
yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, it was only honestly, it was only like a couple of weeks. I mean, we had, I had it planned out. We were supposed to finish in early October, and we finished October 27th. I mean, it was
Okay.
only like a couple of weeks
Mhm.
delay, but
Mhm.
and I'm always incredibly grateful for the people that dedicate their time for my project
Mhm.
because I mean, without them, it's just words on a computer screen.
I
And
do have to say a lot. I've seen a lot of your stuff even before we really started talking because of the people that you've had on
yeah,
your sets.
hmm
I think
yeah,
there's a lot. That's a big respectful thing when people can say, Eric Willis, he's the guy. Check out this. I was on this.
it's
So
something I like. I like to brag about that people like Kyle
mhm,
come back to work with me more than once, and that's something I pride myself in.
right,
I would kick myself in the butt if somebody come up on my set and they said I'll never work with him again. I'd have to. I mean, there have been a couple of instances, but not my fault.
right. Like maybe somebody did a scene you didn't really care for, and they're like, "No, it was great."
This is too much work for no pay. Well, you knew that
Oh,
coming in, so
it was yeah, it was in fine line right there.
yeah. And that's actually we were talking about Love, Misery, and the Goth Girl, and a great story
Uh-huh.
about that is like the actress quit after the first weekend of shooting. And normally in the past, I would be depressed and like, oh yeah. I was like, no, I'm not gonna let it ruin it. And
Right.
like one of the comedic actor in the film messaged me, he's like, hey, my wife did theater in college. And she sent me an audition. She already had blue hair, which was perfect. And she was
Right.
great. And it all worked out for the best. And she is one of the sweetest, nicest, incredible people I've like ever met doing this.
That's actually works out really well then.
Yeah, it did. I mean, like we shot like one of the like the second weekend we shot up in Leavenworth at an Airbnb, and there was like just that one scene that we shot, like everybody meshed, everybody clicked, and like the entire rest of the shoot, we were very close.
Do you have to go all over the town for some of these things? I mean,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've shot as far north as St. Joe,
mhm.
as like far south as like Baldwin City, Wellsville, Hillsdale Lake, down in that area,
Yeah,
all the way out. I mean, all over the metro.
yeah.
And I've had actresses kind of get a little irritated with me because we shot at a little church in the middle of nowhere, but it worked. You know.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta drive.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and it, like I said, some of the best locations are out in the middle of nowhere, at least for my projects.
Right. Kind of for what you're going for, at least,
Yeah. hmm
know.
And
Um,
when they see it on film, they're like, "Oh, okay, I get it
yeah.
now."
I always kind of like to wrap up with sort of like social media, and especially when it's people that are of my age or older that kind of lived through the transition of technology,
hmm
and how it's advanced. And I have like this hate love for social media. Like realistically, I hate social media, but as far as
I agree.
podcasting and promoting
Yes,
and getting the name out there, it like you kind of have to. That's the only way to get it out there now.
that's yes, and you hit it just right on the head. I have a love hate relationship with social media.
Yeah.
It's the best way to get your work out there, it's the best way to get people involved in your work,
Mhm.
but you have to deal with the idiots. I mean,
Right.
it's just a fact. I'm like, you know, I just took a month off of like TikTok and Instagram. I'm like, I can't do it. I need a break. You guys are just driving
Right.
me nuts.
Well,
And
and yeah, for you and for filming and everything, it's one thing, and for podcasting, like making clips of the shows and stuff like that, like it's like if you're not consistently utilizing them, sometimes they'll kick you out, like they'll boot you from the algorithm, and
yeah,
it's just a nightmare, man.
that's one of my weakest areas is self promotion. I'll be honest with
Uh,
you, because like I said, I've done 39 projects since
mhm,
2016.
mhm.
And like I move from project to project to project, and I don't like take the time to promote the project that I just finished because I'm on to the next project.
Yeah, that's I get it. I do, because I mean, that's why I have so many different freaking podcasts, because I'm like, I want to do something on this topic. Well, that doesn't really fit this show. I'm gonna start another show,
In
and then like,
2018, I did 6 short films in 1 year.
uh,
Yeah.
like, did they overlap too?
No, a couple of them were literally one weekend shoots, like the 53-second one, and another one was just like maybe a couple of minutes, and then
Mm.
you know some of them were like 6 to 7 minutes, and only involved like a weekend or two. And from January to December, I did 6 short films.
The craziest thing that I've figured out about the algorithm is that 3 seconds. You have 3 seconds to capture their attention. If they swipe away within 3 seconds, the algorithm boots you.
Yeah. Mhm.
So the short stuff is amazing. I've had comedians on and actors that I do show, like, and I make clips and reels for, and I've found out the dead errors, and like if you're not hitting the main points of what you're trying to hit, people lose interest.
Yeah,
They-
and
they feel-
we live in an ADD society, and that's what
Mhm.
social media is. If it's not like that, it's you move on.
Uh-huh. And independent short films are actually pretty popular right now.
Yeah.
They really are. But like you said, promoting 'em is something that's kind of it's a struggle, but it's necessary sometimes. I mean, a lot of your stuff you can find on YouTube. It's just um, I do the best I can, but I get so backed into all these other things too. So like, I'll try to knock out a couple clips from the show and then move on, because it's like, I don't
Well,
know.
and,
It's crazy.
one of the things it's actually helped me in the past is, and the reason I go with Shining Light Industries is because I don't only do films, I'm also an efficient. I perform weddings on the side.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
kind of intermingle the both. So like if, somebody sees pictures of the weddings, they could find my YouTube page and then they can go to both. And
Hmm. So I go to Linktree. Get yourself a Linktree.
yeah, I know I need a manager for that to take care of that stuff.
I could probably help you get one set up
Okay. Yeah.
if that's something that you'd be
Oh
interested
yeah,
in.
definitely. So like I
Yeah.
said, it's self-promotion is one of my weaknesses. And
Mhm.
I know somebody out there is listening that is helping me with that. But
Well, and that's the biggest thing. So for me, if somebody says, "Hey, where can I find your stuff?" I just send them my link tree.
Yeah.
And there's like direct links to, individual films. Like you said, you got wedding stuff. You put all those tabs on there, and it's just so much easier. It's like my business card. I just say go there.
yeah, literally everything I have is on Shining Light Industries on YouTube.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
if anybody
Uh,
asks, then go there.
Right. Well, and you also have. I mean, I watched Wholesome Grove on Tubi.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Love, Misery, and the Goth Girl and Wholesome Grove were both on Tubi. Wholesome Grove you can actually find on like 8 or 9 different streaming services.
Okay.
It's on Prime. And then it's on some other, like it's on someone's YouTube page. It's on like several streaming services that are new.
Right.
It's like, I mean, I'm happy because it's like 8 or 9 different streaming services. I never thought I would be able to
And How did
produce something that
how did that happen? Like, how did it get
um
on those platforms?
Well, you either go through Film Hub is when I went
Oh.
through for Wholesome Grove. For Love, Misery, and the Goth Girl, I went through Indie Rights, and it's harder for me because the genre that I do is not as popular as some of the others.
Mhm.
But like you submit your film to Film Hub, and then they market it for you, and then like Tubi and Amazon, they'll request the rights from Film Hub, and then they'll send it to them, and then they'll put it on their streaming services.
Do you
And
get?
then that's
and-
when you start to get a little bit of money in.
Yeah, you make a little every time somebody watch it, you probably get a few cents or something like that.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, Prime is the biggest name and the lowest payer. I mean,
Wow, yeah.
you have to watch my entire film, and I make like 20 cents. And and Tubi's a little better, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've
Yeah.
never made enough to break even. But
Well, and you're talking about
somebody's
Tubi. I mean,
watching.
a lot of people don't. A lot of people like. I like Tubi because it's free.
Yeah,
I pay for Amazon Prime, so I do watch stuff on Prime.
mhm,
But some people don't, and you know,
right.
so you get these platforms that pick you up, and they're like, some people don't even know what they are. But
Yeah, and the good
yeah,
thing was, like, with like Tubi had a commercial on Super Bowl. And for people like me, that's great. It's like, people didn't even know what Tubi is, and then they go on Tubi, and then I'm like, they may find my film
Yeah.
and watch it. And
that's
get it.
exciting,
Yeah, it
especially
is.
when you don't expect it.
Yeah.
With that side of it though, like, do you get notified that it got picked up by these platforms?
Yeah. Film Hub, you actually have to make the effort to log on and go in and see what's going on. Indie Rights was a little better as far as notifying you what's going on.
Uh-huh.
They will send you emails and say, hey, like a quarterly email.
Mhm.
But with Film Hub, you actually have to log in, and they'll give you a rundown of what's going on.
Okay. So what's up? What's up next? What are you working on now?
Editing. Yeah. We're doing some ADR for Southern Fried Romance.
Uh-huh.
We wrapped on the 27th of October. I'm looking to have a working copy by the time we have the wrap party on December 14th.
Okay.
I'm wanting to get a good copy done by the time so I can submit it to KC Film Fest,
Mhm.
and try to get it in there, because Wholesome Grove actually won Best Heartland Feature at KC Film Fest last year.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's a very funny story. We shot part of it in St. Joe, and like my lead actress and some of the others were from St. Joe, so we planned a screening up there. And so we went to KC Film Fest, screened it at 1:30. Me and the cinematographer, we went up to St. Joe. We're having dinner with the lead actress and her mom, and my phone starts to blow up. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And they're like, where are you? I was like, I'm up in St. Joe. Why? They said, your film just won Best Heartland Feature. I was like, no way. Because KC Film Fest doesn't tell you. They don't warn you ahead of time that you're even
Wow.
nominated. I was like, I didn't even know I was supposed to go. And so, yeah, we were very proud of that.
That's a good feeling.
As far as projects next year, I'm with everything I've had going on, I'm kind of taking a few months off, a little sabbatical, to kind of get my head right and kind of figure out. There's a couple of small projects I have in mind, maybe, and there is a feature film that I have in mind. It's my favorite script I've ever written.
Mhm.
But there's one casting obstacle that I have to overcome in order to even think about doing this project.
Is it like the specific person?
Twin 6 to 8 year old boys.
Yeah, that's an obstacle.
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest obstacle I have to overcome. There was actually a couple of location issues that I've already had leads on. So, but yeah, that's the biggest.
Okay.
Yeah, if I could find twin boys that can act, then It's literally my favorite script I've ever written. It's very
Alright.
Hallmark-ish,
Yeah.
but actually more Lifetime. It's not actually a love story, but you know,
As far as like the style of show or whatever.
yeah,
I
no,
gotcha.
no language, no, very sweet, tug at the heartstrings kind of thing.
All right. That's exciting, man.
Yeah,
Um,
that's my specialty.
okay. Well, I really appreciate you coming on tonight, and it's always fun to kind of hear the stories of like who your background and the stuff that you've done, and some of your big accomplishments and behind the scenes stuff that people don't really get to hear about. So,
Yeah,
thank you for taking some time out of your day to hang out with me on here.
I appreciate you having me, man. I've had a
Yeah.
blast.
Good, good. The whole idea is to just relax and talk like just two people that go back and it's
Right?
it's not
Yeah.
meant to it's not supposed to feel like you're being interrogated. Let's put it that way.
Oh no, no, I haven't. No, not at all.
Good, good. And I'd love to have you back on sometime in the
I
near
would
future.
love
If you
to,
need
man.
any help with promotions, I'm always down to help out with that. So yeah,
I
I will be
appreciate
in touch. And do you have anything else before we wrap this up?
it. Everyone have a good holiday season.
Yes, agreed. What he just said. And everybody that tuned in tonight, thank you, Jan, Kyle, for being in the comments, and I know others are watching too, so thank you guys. And until next time, we'll see you around.
Thank you.